Who can say if I've been changed for the better? You know, when you think about all the people that you've interacted with in your life, can you say if they changed you for the better? And some people come to mind, you go, oh yes, they changed me for the better. And then there's some other people. Not so easy. I think we can all think of those people that have been challenging in our lives, and maybe we ourselves were one of those challenging people to others as well. But the spiritual principle that Wayne Dyer talks about in this particular chapter, which he affectionately titles, "You Can't Kiss Your Own Ear," he points out that the real richness and fullness of life comes from when we know our own spiritual center, but we're able to be open and welcoming to others. That isn't it true when you think back on your life, it is the people in your life that had made it the best. And so Wayne points out that there's a balance to be found, and I thought it was wonderful. I was so glad for Joanna and Melissa to sing this song from Wicked. We all know the story of Wizard of Oz. We know Glinda, the good witch, and the Wicked Witch of the West. And in the musical Wicked, we get to learn the backstory. We think we know all about these witches, but then in Wicked we find out that these young girls grew up together. And Glinda, that beautiful, ambitious, popular girl, and then there was Elphaba, the green-skinned girl that struggled a bit. And so the musical is all about looking at people in a different way, that we might be able to look beyond what we see and imagine the life that they've led up to this point. And Wayne Dyer encourages us that in looking at others and looking at ourselves, we need to figure out how to find that balance, how we stay true to ourselves, but also open to others. And it seems like there's kind of a spectrum that we're all on. The spectrum of being where those people who think they know everything and don't need anybody, and those people that think they don't know anything and succumb to what anybody tells them about themselves. That we have this wide spectrum where we're trying to find the balance between domineering and doormat. And that's an important balance to find. And in fact, when I was reading this chapter, it was very poignant for me. It brought to mind a very specific point in my own life. And some of you know I was in the corporate world for a while. And at 33, I got a promotion, and I had my power suit and my perfect briefcase. And I went to work every day thinking, I know what's going on. I'm getting rewarded for my actions. I must be hot stuff. And things were going well, and I got a new assignment, and they gave me 5 new managers that were brilliant people, rising stars. I was so excited to work with them. And within about 6 months, every single manager had transferred out of my department. Ouch. And I remember one very specific thing. I remember in this world of community, of corporate, that everybody knew my business. Everybody knew that these 5 brilliant people had wanted to not work with me. After all, I thought that's what bosses do. I thought bosses were supposed to tell you what to do and you were supposed to hop to it. That was the kind of boss I was. Whenever they're always giving you those personality tests and the evaluations of your interpersonal skills, and I was very consistent. I scored consistently on all of those. Consistently on the domineering side. So I had gotten some feedback, but I had completely ignored it until I had this point in time when 5 brilliant people don't want to work with me. And so I remember this point of going to work every day and having to face my peers who knew. And there was a moment when, as usual, I was riding the elevator and I got off in my power suit, my perfect briefcase. And somebody was walking by and they just wanted to talk to me about, so, what happened there? What's going on? And I'm standing there and I'm telling them this story. Oh, it was just a coincidence. Isn't that crazy that they all 5 had to transfer out? I just don't really know what that was about. And have you ever had that moment where you're lying and you know you're lying and you don't even believe yourself? That was that moment for me. It was in 1994. I was on the 4th floor outside the elevator at a building at 8140 Ward Parkway. That was my moment when I had to realize that what I was doing wasn't working. That being way over here on the domineering side was not going to bring me success. And it was going to be pretty darn painful if I decided that's where I wanted to be. And so when I think back about that moment today, I think about, was I changed for the better? And I look out at all of you and I say, because of you, yes, I was changed for the better. I was changed for good. It was painful and frustrating. I had to listen to other people. I had to take feedback and learn how to modify my behavior based on the things people told me. And that's a challenging thing to do because you have to find out who you can trust, whose opinion you value, what is it that's true for you. And I spoke with many of you about this topic this week, and I appreciate all the feedback I got. And in fact, I was calling a girlfriend, a childhood friend in Texas, and told her that this was the topic of the conversation today. And she asked me, she encouraged me, she wanted me to tell her story. And so this friend of mine, she's about 5 years older than I am, but she married young, and she had her children young. And she married a man that, from the very beginning, told her that she didn't know what she was talking about. That she's an idiot. You are so lucky to be with me because I am so much better than you. And he told her this every day for 20 years. And it was even difficult when I was with them to be together to see how he was treating her. And it seemed as if she was physically shrinking from the verbal abuse. He never hit her, but his words were just as damaging. And she found herself, as her children started to grow up, with this life that she didn't know who she was and felt like she was a slave to this relationship. As her kids got older and she started to be able to have some time on her hands, she decided to go out and do something. And she actually went to her church and joined the quilting club just to have something to do. And she said that just being there with those women, quilting, talking, not doing anything special, something magical started to happen. She would go to this thing each Wednesday and she would find that the women would tell her that they enjoyed being with her, that she was fun. They loved her smile. They complimented her about who she was. And my friend said that in that moment, it made her feel very uncomfortable, that she actually at first hated it when people complimented her. And she realized that it was because she felt the ground shaking underneath her. It was like an earthquake, that this doesn't jive with what I think about myself. But it gave her an opening, a little possibility that maybe she wasn't this person that someone had been telling her that she was. And for her, she decided that the right thing was to leave. And it took about 5 years for her to actually extricate herself from that situation. But she went back to school and she became a teacher, which was something she had always dreamed of. And when I asked her how she got through that difficult 5-year period, she said that every morning she got up and she asked herself, what can I do today to get one step closer to my dream? Even if it was the littlest step in the world, one step at a time. And today, whenever you ask her about her class and her children, her students, I swear she gets taller. She's so proud of herself. And she says, the one thing is I like myself. I like who I am. And that is the power of the interaction of what we do for each other.